Welcome to Disruptive Successor, a show for next generation leaders in family businesses and entrepreneurs who want to disrupt the status quo and take their existing business to a whole new level. We all know that what got us here isn't going to get us there. This show will provide inspiration, advice, and resources to help you create massive impact. This podcast is sponsored by myself, Jonathan Goldhill, and my company, the Goldhill Group, where we provide coaching for growing companies. I'm Jonathan Goldhill, and my purpose is simple: to guide entrepreneurial leaders in family businesses towards more freedom and fulfillment. I want entrepreneurs to get clarity around the changes that will make them and their businesses more successful so they can experience the same freedom I've enjoyed in my life. Our proven practices challenge business owners to think differently about their business and how they're running it, and quite literally become game changers in our clients' companies. Learn more at thegoldhillgroup.com website, where you can schedule your free strategy session. Hi, it's Jonathan Goldhill, and welcome back to another episode of the Disruptive Successor Show. And today I have a disruptive successor from Italy. Andrea Dallan is an engineer, entrepreneur, and CEO of an Italian family business that has been producing systems for the processing of thin sheet metal since 1978. With 160 employees, that includes engineers, technicians, and operators. He's the author of two books, The Revolution of Efficiency and Think Thin. With a bachelor degree in industrial engineering at the University of Padua, during more than 20 years spent in sales, Andrea has visited hundreds of companies, analyzing production processes and helping entrepreneurs and managers be more efficient. So today we're going to be talking about his family business. We'll be talking also about sustainability in production processes and how to do them profitably, and manufacturing in today's modern era. Andrea, welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So tell us first a little bit about your family business and about the story. How did it get started? Maybe why did it get started? And how did you come to enter the business, and what that was all about, what that was like?
Yeah, well, my father started the business in 1978, so we'll be 44 years old as a company next year, and I'm almost as old as the company. So I can say that this company, Dallan, is kind of my father's third son, He used to work as a designer in a company that produced the roll-formed profiles. So they used the roll formers to make their own products. And as he was studying engineering, he wrote one software to develop the flowers for roll-formed profiles, one of the first of its kind. And he decided to start his own business for designing tools for roll-forming equipment back in 1978. So that was a very pioneering activity at the time. And so he started as a small design studio or engineering firm. Mm-hmm. It started to grow, and quite immediately he started producing the first small machines. And after a few years, he decided to focus on thin sheet metal, and that's become the focus of our company. Well, we are specialized specifically in thin sheet metal up to 2 millimeter thickness.
Wow. And who uses this kind of thin sheet metal, by the way? What kinds of businesses, or what kind of manufacturers, or what manufacturing processes is this important?
Well, thin sheet metal are used, for example, for producing drywall profiles. So, the metal, metal framing structures that are used to apply plasterboards. It's a huge industry. Suspended metal ceilings like T-bar, ceiling T-grid that is very, very popular in the States, for example, which is a big market for us. Then some protection like rolling shutters, roller shutter doors for shops or for houses, and Venetian blinds. This is the type of products where we have become very, very specialized into. And our market, as we specialized, we started to sell more and more outside of Italy. Right now, we have over 90% of the systems we sell is outside of Italy, and over 20% is in the United States. Therefore, we started our subsidiary in the States in 2018. And in 2000, I graduated from the University of Padua in engineering, the same kind of a study that my father did. And I joined him running one part of the business that was specifically the unit that produced the punching machines, so systems for perforating sheet metal. And in 2012, end of 2012, I took over as CEO for the whole group. Yeah.
So tell us what was it like to take over as CEO for the whole group? 2012. That was 9 years ago. Was there some resistance from your father? Was he welcoming it? What was the dynamic between you and your dad like at that time?
Well, it has been very, very something we had to plan for in advance. So in one company, the company was at the time close to 150 people. And it was, so the whole group was divided into 6 companies, each one counting 30 to 40 people working in it. And of course, it was difficult to manage a group of company of this kind. So we planned in advance to acquire all of these subsidiary companies from our central, which was always Dallan SPA, and to create one single company that was, because all the other companies were basically suppliers to Dallan, and Dallan was the company that was selling and installing the machines in the market. Okay. So it was something that we had to plan in advance. We had other partners that had some shares in all these companies. So it had to be carefully planned, not only for the management, but also for the communication. We wanted to acquire all these shares from the partners who had the small percentage of the other companies. And finally, we managed to group everything under one single company, which was the Dallan SPA. And today, so the shares are owned all by my father's family, which is my father, my mother, me, and my sister.
Gotcha. And so was it like, but emotionally, was there any emotional issues in terms of the transfer of authority to the, you being CEO?
Well, yes, because, for I told you, so the company was my father's third son. And if I have to saying the truth, it is that my father spent a lot more time with his third son as he did than he did with me and my sister. In any case, I started to follow him closely for the following him in the sales. So I started to get more and more used into getting to know his customers and so on. But he was so much involved in the sales process that for him it was kind of difficult to let go that part of the job he knew to do so well.
I bet. Now, what about the CEO, like vision, like where we're going to take the company, like strategy? Was that difficult for him to let go of too? Or is he still leading the charge in that area? Or
well, my father has had written a strategy for the company back in 1986, and we have constantly reviewed this strategy together.
Right.
Starting from the moment when we had 6 different strategies or 6 similar strategies for all these 6 companies, up to the moment when we merged everything together into one single company. So it was not a problem of difficulty in the vision. I think rather than that, it was more important to consider that when taking over one company with 150 to 160 people, it is difficult for me, who I don't have his depth of knowledge, maybe in the technical part or in every single aspect of the business. And it is necessary to start building some kind of management inside the company, like engineers and professionals who can take care of the project management, for example, of the operation. And sometimes we needed to work with some external competencies. But that is also important and essential, because not only there is one generational change, a succession, there is not only in the leadership, but there is in every single department of the company. So even in the operation, there are a lot of people who started to work with my father in the very beginning, and some of them are retiring, and we need to take care not only of the knowledge that my father needed to pass to me, right, but also of all of these other transfer of knowledge that we have to have throughout the company, especially when we are speaking of a very technical product such as ours, which is so automated systems, engineered to order. So everything is made. It's highly, highly customized.
So I want to go back to the strategy for a moment. Are you still following the same strategy that your dad developed in 1986? Because that's a long time ago. Is it still is it still current? Is it still relevant?
Well, it is with some changes, because some things have changed in the market. The strategy, basically, in 1986, it related to the moment when he decided to focus the company only on thin sheet metal.
Okay.
After that moment, so the name Dallan now is connected in the world of sheet metal manufacturing to the expert for thin sheet metal processing. Right now, there is a lot of newer technologies, such as laser cutting, for example, and there is a much higher need for automation. So, whereas once the roll forming part, so the roll forming part of the whole machine was prevalent. Right now, we can say that the automation part. So we have to produce the part, but we need also to package it in a certain way, because the need for our customers in Europe and in the US especially is for more and more automation. Because it is much more difficult to find skilled technician that will operate, or people who will take care of the operations or of operations such as packaging. So this trend, we had to introduce it straight into our strategy.
Gotcha. Interesting. So, tell us a little bit about your 2 books. the revolution of efficiency and think thin. Were these disruptive concepts that you were trying to introduce into the industry? Tell us a little about them. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Jonathan, it is. So I always like to write for some technical reviews. Mm-hmm. So I had written some articles on the organization of the production, lean production, and so on. Eventually, so I had a lot of this material, and I always wanted to condensate it into one book. Okay. What happened is that I started doing this at the end of 2019. Mm-hmm. And then the pandemic arrived in February. So I had a lot of time also during the weekends at home to refine this
sure.
work. And so this led to writing the first book, which is The Revolution of Efficiency. And it is on... It doesn't speak specifically of our business or our mm-hmm. company. It speaks about how we organize the production and the production flow and the processes in order to be more efficient. So increasing the automation, a better usage of the raw material, of energy, increasing the flexibility, and so on. So efficiency is analyzed under these aspects. Okay. And then we had a lot of case studies from our customers who could explain how these concepts of efficiency, productivity, automation, and flexibility are used or are applied in their specific area. And so the first book was a book about processes.
Right.
Then I had a lot more material. And so at the end of 2020, I could write the second book that is more on design for manufacturing. So it is not only that you have to think of the process, but sometimes making the correct design of the product can lead to a much more efficient and profitable and sustainable manufacturing process.
Yeah. So talk to me about what does it mean to be sustainable and in production processes? What does that mean? And also I want to get into also the role of automation in production processes. Yeah. So the two subjects that you seem to focus in on and that are really relevant to people in today's manufacturing environment.
Absolutely. Well, in Europe, sustainability is becoming one of the main aspects of production, not only so that the processes should be respectful of the environment, but also the problem is that when an entrepreneur thinks of making the process sustainable, sometimes they think that this is going to increase their production costs. On the other hand, what we have shown through all these case studies and the different design studies is that when you design the product in the right way and the process in the right way, you can produce exactly the same product using less raw material, less energy, less labor also. Mm-hmm. And so overall, you can have a much more sustainable process, so a green production system, mm-hmm. but at the same time producing a big result in terms of profits for the company. And this goes through making a design of the product that uses thinner material, mm-hmm. so producing the same profile or a similar profile with the same strength, but using less material in this case, or transforming or having a process that produces less scrap. And sometimes you can produce the same amount of finished product using 20%, producing 20% less scrap. So going from processes that normally would produce 20% scrap to processes that use the material to up to 100%. This turns out in less cost of raw material for the company and in more profit as well.
Right.
So,
did you measure these things, by the way? Did you do a before and after? Like, do you
absolutely.
have metrics in place? Because, well, let me just tell a quick little story from my experience. One of my early consulting experiences was in 2000, and I went into a 500 employee bread manufacturing company here, well-known name in the United States. And they were having some problems with their production processes, enough that the California OSHA, which is the safety and health organization, occupational safety and health organization, came in and gave them a big fine for their safety and health practices. And so in the process of helping them coach their leaders on implementing best practices, I came across a number of really interesting benchmarks for manufacturing bread around yield, around waste, around lean manufacturing processes. And so I came to them with all these KPIs, key performance indicators, and help them to start measuring their yield and waste and to reduce those things and to improve their processes. And so I imagine, being an engineer like you are, that you applied this same kind of thinking to, like, let's do an analysis of before and after.
Absolutely. And this was very important, and this is one part of the books is always dedicated to this type of study. So not only understanding, explaining what are the processes, but also explaining in detail how much more profit they could generate when applied. Also, but the most important thing is that some of our customers, some companies who are actually applying these concepts are explaining with their experience what was the situation before and what was the situation after they implemented these technologies. So this gave me a huge help to explain, because one thing is a technology explained by the manufacturer of the technology, and another thing is having one market leader saying, okay, I am working through this technology without specifically saying that it is a Dallan technology. But this, if you modify your processes in this way, you will obtain this and this and this and this result in terms of so much production with so many operators and with this kind of usage of the raw material compared to compared to earlier. So these metrics, well, for this I should maybe I'll give the link to how to get the book, because it would take hours to explain.
Well, we will put that all in the show notes, at least the links that you've provided. So, let's just go off the subject here a little bit. Something really hot right now in terms of a topic for a lot of people is supply chain issues. I imagine in Italy, you're having the same problems that we're having in the United States, which is getting stuff delivered and getting it through our ports. And
that's right.
It seems to be that it's going to require some engineering talent to speed up the processes of getting product from one country to another and then distributed in through the country. And that automation is going to play a really big part in this whole supply chain issue. I wonder if you have any thoughts to share with our listeners on this subject.
Absolutely. So what we are seeing in Europe is exactly what you are experiencing in the States. From what I hear from my customers, so we have been used to ordering a lot of our of the goods that even what we use for making our machines from overseas, from East Europe, from China, or from Mexico, and so on. Right now, especially for the goods that need to be transferred overseas or through containers, the costs for transferring them has increased a lot. There is a lack of these materials, but I think the most important thing that we have understood is that we have transferred a lot of the know-how to produce these goods to other countries. Mm-hmm. So our production, the network of companies that make up the production, the manufacturing heart of our countries has weakened over time. Yep. And right now, what I understand in Europe as well as in the US, there is a huge drive to bring back the manufacturing in the country. And this, of course, faces some challenges because sometimes it's difficult for us in Europe to find operators for the machines or people who want to actually work in the manufacturing.
Yes.
Therefore, we are seeing a huge increase in the request for automated systems, both in Europe and in the United States. So systems that will not just produce the part, but will do the full packaging up to the paper box. So the product from the raw material through the machine and then ready for the delivery, palletized. This was a huge focus also for us in the past, and now it's turning out that it makes a huge difference for our customers. Yeah.
Interesting. So your typical customer, like, what are they buying from you? Is it a manufactured piece of is it a machine that needs to be shipped via container, and is most of that being shipped worldwide? Is it to the US? Is it, tell us a little bit about, your challenges with getting your customers' orders fulfilled.
Yeah, well, right now with these travel restrictions, there are more challenges than there used to be. Mm-hmm. But typically, so our customer will come to us with one product. We don't manufacture pens, but they show us what they want to produce. Right. In sheet metal. They show us how they want it to be delivered outside of the machine. Mm-hmm. And we design and then manufacture the machine here. So the machine will be tested with our customers here. Mm-hmm. And then we have to disassemble, ship, and reinstall the machine at the customer's premises. So it's...
so you do the installation in the customer's premises. I mean, who else would know how to put this together? But it makes it difficult for you to be traveling overseas or even maybe into the other European countures. Does it?
Well, within the European
EU, countries, it's probably not a problem. Yeah,
not a problem. Actually, in the US, there have been travel restrictions, not for technicians, but right. Actually, as a salesman, I had my difficulties coming to the States.
I see. Okay.
So they don't want salesmen; they just want technicians.
So you masquerade as a technician when you come into the United States?
No, I didn't have to.
Okay.
Anyway, but we do have we have started our subsidiary in the States. So we have a small facility in Ohio, and we are hiring technicians directly in the States, which we will have trained for taking care of the US market, which is becoming more and more important in these years.
They'll manufacture using a set of blueprints and designs, and is that how it will be done?
Not right now. Yeah. Right now, we produce everything in Italy. We test, deliver, and so what we take care in the US is only the installation part.
I see. Okay.
But eventually, it will be possible even to make the production of some parts or of several parts. It takes time to build a network of suppliers, to find the right people, to train them. But Rome wasn't built in a day.
No. And neither was thin metal manufacturing. So,
no.
Has this been the most difficult climate, most difficult time in your leadership of the company, this whole pandemic?
This pandemic has been one challenge that has changed a lot of the things that we took for granted, like the time for the supply of certain components or the stability of the prices on the supply chain. So that this has all changed. This is not the first time we find this kind of changes. 2008 with the crisis that impacted a lot the construction industry. That was quite a challenge, and in that period we faced a reduction in the orders, whereas in this moment we are facing this challenge with plenty of orders for the fact that there is this huge push towards automation. So if I have to compare the two challenges, I do prefer this one rather than that of 2008.
Gotcha. Of course.
And another challenge was that when I took over as a CEO, when we had to take care of the merger of the companies, dealing with all the partners that needed a lot of energy from the family, a lot of a common vision of how we wanted the company to work afterwards. So if I have to say, this is quite a challenge, but after, I think as a CEO, you have to be prepared for challenges. So because nothing is remaining the same. Now we are facing also the challenge of having to or wanting to hire more people from the schools, training more and more people, and it's difficult to find them. So, it's what even our German customers say right now. Right now, it's a difficult time in the market because there is this difficulty to find raw materials. But this is kind of a luxury problem compared to what we had in 2008, 2009, after that kind of crisis.
Understood. All right, let's move to the subject of like management, leadership, administration, and the family business. So tell me a little bit about the management of the business. Do you have regular meetings that you hold with the family that are separate from the leadership team and the management team to talk about issues?
Two different types of meetings. Well, we do have quite fast. We do have a board of directors.
Okay.
There is me. My sister is also in the board of directors, and she is a quality manager. So she takes care of all the certification, and so she takes care of all those kind of organizational topics where I would not have the time to be very much involved. Then our CFO takes part of it, Andrea. He's almost my age, so we have quite a young management. And then, of course, there is my father, who is the president and founder, and my mother as well. She's the founder of the company. And then we have our HR manager, Nadia, who is also in the board of directors, and we meet one time every month, for example. Then our operation has meetings every week with together with the commercial, the sales department. But these are two different types of meeting. They involve two different level of management.
So the first group is dealing with strategy, financial, personnel issues. The second group is dealing with operation, production,
exactly.
client-facing type issues is mostly a problem.
Exactly. So all of those kind of problems that relate to the specific customer, the specific delivery, the specific contract. But sometimes things need to be merged. So I'm mostly involved in sales. So I work closely with the responsible of our sales department, with our assistant, so as part of my job, I'm mostly involved in sales because our job is conceiving one machine after watching one sheet metal product and coming up to one offer, and then going through all the technical talks and negotiation. That requires a lot of experience as well. And of course, my father is the number one in terms of experience, but right now he's took over another part of the activity, which is all our patent activity, the research and development, which is the part of the business that he likes the most.
Gotcha. So does your company use any kind of specific operating system or playbook to manage some of these processes? I'm referencing books on my shelf here, like Scaling Up or the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS, anything like that to manage your meetings, your strategic planning, business planning?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say that we have a one managerial system in terms of so what I'm reading in your bookshelf right there. So you're not talking about software. So you're talking about
well, it might have software, and I do use software with my clients, but I'm talking about like a playbook that everyone knows. Okay, this is where we make these types of decisions, and this is where we process these issues, and this is what we do on a quarterly basis to develop a plan and communicate that plan. And it also might include a set of standard operating practices and processes around hiring, around motivating, around communicating, around, different types of issues.
I can tell you something about how we changed our managerial system over time. So in 2018, we started introducing lean production to our systems, and this was taken care of from our operation manager, and this has led to introducing regular meetings for the opening of each new order, and so the obeya room for the technical office, like moments where the during one project all of the technicians can sit together and clarify doubts that they might have, because the machines can be extremely complex. So we actually do have all our standardized meetings for each type of function. Since every machine becomes a kind of one project, our job is very much close to a project management job. The only thing is that we manage over 250 projects per year. So it's quite extensive, the amount of meetings that need to be taken care of during the year.
Sure.
One other thing that we have started to do is standardizing the moments for the training. It was somewhat difficult because we are 150 people together. Finding some institutional moment to get a communication together was quite difficult also because each different department might need a different set of information for carrying on their job correctly. So we have introduced moments for training for the different departments. Right now, for example, we are carrying some training for the service department. Mm-hmm. And these are moments where we share our internal best practices. And so what is the expectation for each single technician that is going out? So training moments is one moment where we convey the internal communication and as well as the training, of course. And this has proven to be very, very effective for our company.
Sure.
Jonathan. I don't mean that can work for all different companies.
Yeah. All right. So as we wrap up, Andrea, if people want to get a copy of either of your books, where are they available? Can they be purchased on Amazon?
Well, right now we have The Revolution of Efficiency available on Kindle, mm-hmm. On Amazon. Mm-hmm. And so you just need to type The Revolution of Efficiency and you'll get the possibility to download it straight away. Whereas the Think Thin includes a lot of very, very technical and specific information. So right now it can be purchased directly contacting Dallan at eng@dallan.com.
Okay, once again?
eng@dallan.com.
Okay, great. eng@dallan.com. Andrea, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure for me, Jonathan.
Yeah, awesome. So, folks, if you are interested in thin sheet metal manufacturing or thinking more about automation and improving your production processes, sustainability, Andrea Dallan has been our guest today. And thanks for listening to another episode of the Disruptive Successor Show. This podcast is sponsored by myself, Jonathan Goldhill, and my company, the Goldhill Group, where we provide coaching for growing companies. I'm Jonathan Goldhill, and my purpose is simple: to guide entrepreneurial leaders in family businesses towards more freedom and fulfillment. I want entrepreneurs to get clarity around the changes that will make them and their businesses more successful so they can experience the same freedom I've enjoyed in my life. Our proven practices challenge business owners to think differently about their business and how they're running it, and quite literally become game changers in our clients' companies. Learn more at the goldhillgroup.com website, where you can schedule your free strategy session. Thank you for joining us on the Disruptive Successor podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, review, and share with a friend who would benefit from the message. If you're interested in picking up a copy of my book, Disruptive Successor, go to disruptivesuccessor.com.